For this episode, we're going to be running through the 7 most popular growth hormone releasing peptides.
These are the ones that we offer. So these are the things that we've tried. We either have seen our clientele using them with different gauges of results, or we ourselves have been the guinea pigs who have actually tried them. It's a kind of unfiltered, raw experience of being on a growth hormone product.
If you're trying to get jacked and juicy.
What's the number one, baby?
All right, the last but not least, the Mac Daddy, the Ferrari of the peptides. It's Welcome to the ManLab, where we combine science and health in the pursuit of making men great again.
This is how legends are born. This is how legends are born.
Hey guys, welcome back to the ManLab. For this episode, we're going to be running through the 7 most popular growth hormone releasing peptides in order of the most effective to the least effective. Well, actually, the other way around. Least effective to most effective. So today we've got Alex and Jeff from T Clinics, 22 years in the industry, the business, probably longer with the actual peptides, but run me through, what is the least
Well, I don't like the
effective?
word least. I like good to great.
Okay.
That's a little bit better.
What's the good one?
Yeah, and I'll also preface it, these are the ones that we offer. There are plenty of peptides that are out there that
Thousands.
are kind of in the research category. So these are the things that we've tried. We either have seen our clientele be, using them with different, gauges of results, or we ourselves have been the guinea pigs who have actually tried
Biggest
them.
ones that give a ROI,
Okay.
return on investment.
So let's
So,
start
what's
with what
number
we
7?
would recommend, kind of the least, and this is low dose Sermorelin. Low dose Sermorelin means using a smaller amount, around 300 micrograms or less, and only using it one time a day. So Sermorelin is the OG in the growth hormone releasing hormone category. I say growth hormone releasing hormone because these different products are split into 2 categories, or actually there's a third because there's a secretagogue. But in the peptide world, there's either ones that work on the ghrelin response, which is kind of via the stomach, and then there's one that actually stimulates the pituitary gland. The pituitary gland stimulation is more done with the growth hormone releasing hormones, where the ones through the ghrelin is growth hormone releasing peptide. So, and again, with Sermorelin, if you're using around 300 micrograms or less per day, and you're doing it one time per day, you're going to get some benefits, but not near as much as we know a lot of peptides can offer. So again, this is gateway peptide, kind of starting pack for amateurs kind of entering in, just want to kind of put their feet in the water. So you get some benefits, maybe a little bit of sleep improvement. Look, if you're going to get it and you're considering doing it's a nighttime shot, minimal effects.
And it's
number 7.
that one's FDA tested,
Yeah.
approved, all that
Yeah,
sort of stuff.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's gone through the game.
It'll stay around for a while. They use it to actually test if kids are growth hormone deficient.
It's like the most commonly discussed and talked about, and on every damn website that you'll see Sermorelin.
Perfect. So number 6.
Number 6 is Sermorelin high dose. So
Sermorelin dose.
So we're kind of cheating on this, yeah. But there are ways to utilize this product in higher doses more often throughout the day to really optimize the benefits. We actually have a protocol where we'll do a higher amount at night. We'll use a 15 milligram split over 30 injections, which is 500 micrograms. And you do it at night before you go to bed, and then do a 300 microgram shot in the morning upon waking up. So not only are you mimicking the natural, rhythmic pattern of growth hormone distribution at night while you sleep, but you're also getting the improved fat loss metabolism benefit in the morning. So this is great for people who have maybe only access to Sermorelin, but a way to actually get a great result out of it is higher dose. So higher dose, more frequent use of Sermorelin is number 6.
I'd put it up there with close to Ipamorelin for some people.
Yeah, at the higher doses. Low dose kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Higher dose truly triggers it into a good response because you're getting it at 2 parts of the day where your body can utilize the product for
Let's
the purpose it's
rephrase
intended.
that. Sucks per maybe Tesamorelin or sucks per
Comparable,
Ipamorelin CJC, but doesn't
Once
suck.
you know the next
when you
5,
got
you'll
nothing
see.
or that, it's actually amazing.
Okay, I'll give you
Perfect.
it. I'll give you it.
Yeah.
Find out if you may have low testosterone for free with the Atom test. Now, sometimes it's a little bit nerve-wracking to go into a clinic to get a full blood panel to find out your hormone levels. And sometimes you might just want to sort of kick the tires just a little bit. If you are that person, the Atom test is for you. All it is a couple of questions that are completely non-intrusive, non-invasive, that will help give an indication to you whether you may or may not have low testosterone. And the best part is the Atom test is accurate up to 88% of the time. So for something as simple as a questionnaire, that is a very high number. Now, if you want to make use of that, you can do it online right now. It takes less than 30 seconds to fill out, and it is at bit.ly/free Atom test. That's free, ADAM test. Now, if you don't want to remember that, the link is in the description of wherever you're listening or watching this podcast. And then after you've filled out the questionnaire, you will now have a better idea of whether you may or may not have low testosterone and if you need to take the next step, which is a detailed blood panel with a clinic such as T-Clinics USA. So again, to make use of that, go to bit.ly/free Adam test, and let's continue to making men great again. Let's get back to the show.
Number 5.
Number 5.
Number 5, I'm putting Ibutamoren.
You're going to go Ibutamoren?
I'm putting Ibutamoren.
Okay.
Ibutamoren is MK677. Now, look, it's very strong, right? So it stimulates growth hormone. It's actually a secretagogue.
Yep.
It's not even a peptide, but we're putting it in this category for conversation purposes.
It's a pill.
It's a pill. It works for that. Plus in the stimulation sense that it raises your growth hormone levels very high.
If you're trying to get jacked and juicy.
Negative, it makes you hungry.
You will crush the
ungodly
pantry.
hungry, so you can't stop eating. It also has a little bit of effect on stimulation prolactin and cortisol. So when your cortisol levels are high, not really good in your body, prolactin's good. It can kill your sex drive and give you ED issues. It can also cause gynecomastia issues where you form breast tissue. It can cause water retention issues. I've even seen some guys' PSA levels jump up pretty high being on it. So it's a kind of unfiltered, raw experience of being on a growth hormone product. And because of that, I'm giving it number 5.
But I'll tell amazing, probably my go-to for most hard gainers that are struggling to put on size. Somebody
Yeah,
who
young
stays-
athletes,
Yep.
awesome drug. Older guys or people.
Aging men and women, is it a beneficial?
I mean, most aging men and women don't want to have an increased appetite. Now, older, I've seen people in a geriatric population have no appetite or are getting really frail, who really need that assistance putting on the calories. Yeah, it works for them.
I like young and old.
Yeah.
You got your young
There you go.
population do amazing with it. They're leaner. And then you have your old population that maybe are having a tough time stimulating appetite and keeping muscle
We got a
tissue
lot
on.
of pre-18-year-old clientele that I know have used it.
Yeah.
Again, we're not in the field of prescribing it for those purposes, but I know a lot of people, kids who've used it.
I mean, I've been pretty open about my son. My son is growth hormone deficient, wasn't low enough to go on synthetic growth hormone, nor did I want to put him on synthetic growth hormone. So I put him on low dose Ibutamoren, and he's pretty much my height, which is not saying much because I'm sitting on a pillow right now.
Yeah.
But it definitely makes a big difference. It actually I just did his blood work. His IGF-1's like 550. So he's on the top
Yeah,
line
really
versus
high.
the bottom line. So
That's what I'm saying. I didn't want to give it 5 because it deserves a hell of a recognition for working super well, but
The
it just
increased
comes
hunger
with
can be-
some
Just
unwanted side effects for the average person.
precise application with that one.
Number 4.
A new
Hexamorelin.
one that a lot of people are just being introduced to now is Hexamorelin. Hexamorelin is a growth hormone releasing peptide, so it affects the ghrelin response. It's very similar to Ipamorelin, so everybody loves Ipamorelin because which I don't want to open the door to the next on the list, but because it's really clean and it does its job awesome and has no side effects. Hexamorelin is very similar, but it has a shorter half-life, so it doesn't work as well. It has a greater proponency of stimulating some of the unwanted stimulations like cortisol and prolactin. And it can make you somewhat hungry, so you'll have a little water retention and a little bit more of an uncontrolled appetite. Now, not to the degree of other GHRPs like GHRP6 or GHRP2, and definitely not to the degree of Ipamorelin or Ibutamoren like MK677, which we just spoke about. But if you're really struggling to maintain your appetite, it could work. And I'll tell you quickly, those two, if you couple them with a GLP-1 drug like semaglutide or tirzepatide, you can get the best of both worlds in that you're stimulating growth hormone, but you're also suppressing appetite. And I've seen case use where guys who have been on semaglutide or tirzepatide utilizing Ibutamoren to really raise their ability to raise growth hormone because they don't have shots, and they're controlling their appetite with the GLP-1 drug. So there are ways to mitigate some side
I got a
effects.
question just to see what your thought is if you were to take Sermorelin back to old school GHRP26 Sermorelin, would you bump Sermorelin up on the list?
No, I would. I love GHRP6 and 2. So
And Sermorelin when it was
that
mixed, remember that?
combination,
I was like, it
that
would have definitely
combination.
bumped up on the list,
because
right?
you got incredible gains. Your
Yeah.
body would burn fat. Yes, you would be uncontrollably
the
hungry,
days.
but those were for those who've been kind of long time
yes.
clienteles, we used to offer this product that was really badass. It was Sermorelin, GHRP2, GHRP6. You got super hungry, but your results were
Amazing.
unparalleled to any other peptide. So unfortunately,
It was
we
a
don't offer
trifecta.
it.
It was a trifecta.
But
that-
Hexamorelin It's great if you can't get Ipamorelin. It's a really good fallback because it's super close, but not as good. So
Quickly, before we get back to the episode, please hit that subscribe button if you haven't on whatever channel you're watching or listening to the ManLab. And if you're listening on Spotify, if you could leave a 5-star review on the channel page, that would be greatly appreciated because that will help continue to push it a little bit further for whoever is looking for information to help improve their health. Now, on the topic of information, if you are on YouTube, you can leave a comment below on this episode and we will respond to it with as much information as possible, or it might be another episode down the road. The reason this is important is because the more questions you guys ask, the more we know what we need to do to serve you guys better in future episodes. So comment on YouTube, leave a 5-star review, hit subscribe, and let's continue to help making men great again. Let's get back to the show.
Number 3.
number 3 is going to be Ipamorelin by itself.
I'll tell you, that's like the universal one on my book. I think that's like, it checks all the boxes. Most people get a really good response from it. Very little people have a negative response from it. I would say 70% sleep pretty solid on it. That was always my bread and butter forever.
Yeah, you know, Ipamorelin has like almost no side effect issues. I mean, one of the problems, and I toggled with putting CJC1295 below this one, which, by the way, that's going to be number 2. But the reason I didn't was because, you know, the combination, well, the issue that I like about Ipamorelin is very few people have allergic reactions to Ipamorelin. It's very clean. The body accepts it very well. You get almost no prolactin, no cortisol stimulation.
No site-related
really nice
issue.
growth hormone. You get no site injection issues. Has a nice half-life on it. So you take it, it lasts in the body for a while. You sleep like a baby on it. Do you get really significant, huge muscle growth benefits? No. Do you get a significant fat burning?
Fat
no.
mass,
It's just like kind of like good at everything. Like I always have analogies of like this like time where I was younger, we play video games and we would pick cars. One car went really fast and the other car, you know, handled really well. Another car maybe jumped well or whatever the hell else they did. This one kind of wasn't great in any one thing.
It was just a
kind
universal
It was kind of
car.
pretty good at every one.
It was like mediocre.
It was the mediocre car that did everything pretty well, and like so for that reason, Ipamorelin's number 3.
All right, number 2.
Well, I just let the cows back there. It's CJC1295 and Ipamorelin. You would not take CJC1295 by itself. Nobody even offers it by itself because by itself it's too ineffective.
Yep.
CJC1295 is a growth hormone-releasing hormone with a really long half-life, so it's very similar to Sermorelin, but kind of like take Sermorelin's like lackluster results and drag them out over a long period of time. That's essentially what you get with CJC. But they would add that to Ipamorelin, so you would get the Ipamorelin effect, but then you would get the prolonged benefit of the CJC. The negative behind those two is that there's a high degree of allergic reactions that people get. Oftentimes people get site reactions, itchy issues, hyper
Like
get flushing, anaphylactic, breathing issues.
So
I've
I'd
had clients
say 2 out of 10 people site-related response over time, and it's the most random thing. Like you could be good for 3 months,
And all
take
of a
a break, and start back, and all of a sudden you're getting like site-related rashes. Sometimes they'll start out small, nothing.
Is there a way to mitigate that?
No, I mean, like you can take Benadryl or something to make it go away, but if you've built up the side effect
and
to
it becomes painful over time.
I mean, if you're buying a shitty quality peptide off of like a random peptide site, there's LPS in some of these, which is kind of like a bacterial agent that creates like allergic reactions. But a lot of people just get it with CJC. Period. It's so then what we do from there is we go down the ladder and we say, okay, well, if you can't do the CJC Ipamorelin combination, try just Ipamorelin.
You go back to the sturdy card.
People will tend to think, well, I can do Sermorelin okay. And the reason why Sermorelin's so weak that it doesn't trigger the allergic response, but you're still getting it to some degree because they're both growth hormone-releasing hormones. Yeah. And so what happens with CJC and Ipamorelin is you're combining growth hormone-releasing hormone and growth hormone-releasing peptide, and you're getting this like great sleep and this great kind of effect of the anti-aging properties. You're not getting a huge amount of muscle growth or a huge amount of body fat reduction, but it is truly great at almost everything that we look for in this peptide world.
Okay, and the last one, number 1.
The last but not least, the Mac Daddy, the Ferrari of the peptides. It's Tesamorelin, hands down.
Really?
Tesamorelin is just great at what it does. Like, it is known to be a peptide that stimulates growth hormone, that really amplifies your body's IGF-1 levels, that burns body fat. It has the one property that everybody wants it to, which is burning fat. It's FDA approved for depletion of lower abdominal fat and visceral fat. Yeah. Who doesn't want to trim out their midsection? Everybody. Like when I'm on this product, I notice my pant size goes down an inch or two. I have veins in the lower part of my abs. Like, it is hands down a better peptide. It was super expensive for a long period of time and almost impossible to get. With this new peptide world that we're living in, which means some peptides we can't get anymore and new peptides we can, it's becoming more available and more cost effective. The thing about Tesamorelin, and I'm going to look at the camera and say this, you got to take enough to make it work.
Well,
like, don't take too little and think that you're going to stretch out this small amount for a prolonged effect and get a great response. You can take a smaller dose and get some result, but the thing that I'm saying is like a great result goes back to the Sermorelin Association. Some is good, but taking enough is great. And if you take enough Tesamorelin to really experience the effects it can offer, I have yet to experience a client who will say, wow, that peptide didn't deliver. It doesn't improve your sleep as well.
I was just going to add to that. Like, you know, for years ago, we tried it, and, you know, you get accustomed to having this like deep REM sleep. And then obviously I switched over to Tesamorelin, and I was like, man, I'm not sleeping as good. But you're 100% accurate. The body fat comes down a lot quicker. The vat mass comes down a lot quicker.
Like, you heal too.
So you got to be prepped for it. If you're going from like Sermorelin or Ipamorelin and you're sleeping really good, you might not sleep as good, but you got to look at what your goal is and what you're trying to accomplish with it. Like, that's why it was brought to the market. It was actually brought to the market as a grift to compete with big pharma growth hormone for AIDS or HIV wasting patients, because a lot of times they get like the visceral adipose tissue with HIV. So it was meant to help reduce a lot of that. And it just, now it's kind of sitting, you know, in the peptide world, but definitely a big pronounce. I've seen even on like DEXA scans, a big drop in vat mass, even in myself with it.
I mean, at 46 years old, you know, like, I noticed the inability to drop fat like I did when I was younger. I go on Tesamorelin and it's like I found the secret sauce. It is so much easier and significantly impactful in my body fat depletion comparably to any other peptides. Yes, do I not sleep as good? I'll give you that.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to give you
But you can
the
almost add something with
physique altering, anti-aging properties that I think Tesamorelin does.
Yeah.
Hands down, my opinion. Again, this is me. This is Alex's review. Jeff's just here to give me some shit on it. But I do think Tesamorelin is the Mac Daddy. I know he loves CJ's Ipamorelin.
For sleep, not so much, but for everything you're saying, you're spot on with it. Now that I've actually like looked at it differently,
give it
100%.
like 3 months and check back with me, guys. Like, a milligram a night is a game changer. Like, you will love it. Tesamorelin. Tesamorelin.
All right, well, there you have it, guys. And remember, if you go to tclinicsusa.com, you can mention the ManLab for 10% off any of these things, really. And also, make sure to subscribe to this channel wherever you're watching or listening to, and we'll see you next time.
Peace.
Yeah.